From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Everyone, thanks for joining us on MorningLine. I am Nick Barris. We're coming to you on a Thursday morning, and it's a busy day in the city of Nashville for a lot of reasons, but especially because of what will be happening tonight. And you'll be sure to watch it, of course, here on News Channel 5. We've got the debate. It's going to start at 8 o'clock and go till 10 o'clock. Politics, of course, is something that is at the forefront right now with the election just coming up, just in a few days, not too much longer before finally everyone can go to vote if you haven't already early voting or mail-in voting. But politics is what we're going to touch on. And this year also, 2020, signifies a centennial tribute to one of the great leaders in this state's history. And we want to talk a bit about that with a son of this great leader and politician here. We're going to get into that, and that will also give us a chance to talk about a bit of the current politics and the debate tonight. I'm referring to the great former governor, Frank Clement, and we're going to be showing some clips of a documentary that's going to be airing this Sunday here on this News Channel 5 network, and kind of revisit the politics of then and maybe make a comparison to the way it is today now. And we're going to be joined by Frank Clement's son, one of his sons, who many of you obviously know because he was a congressman here in Davidson County for years and still stays busy. And with us this morning is former Congressman Bob Clement. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Nick, and your great audience, and pleased to be with you. This is a special day.
It is, and again, there's a little bit of a delay in our audio here, but we'll pause, and that was great. We're going to talk about your father here. I watched this documentary, and it's incredible. And as I watched it, I kept thinking to myself, how much things have changed in social media and the way things were back then. Some has stayed the same, but I mean, as you remember the way your father operated as a politician, as a governor who did so much in this state, the longest serving governor, and I guess he was also the youngest ever elected governor in Tennessee. But compare that to the politicians of today, if you would, Congressman.
Well, my father, Frank G. Clement, served as governor in the 50s and 60s. He missed being the youngest governor in Tennessee history by 20 days.
Oh, okay.
Lee Jones was elected governor in the 1800s, and so since 1835, he served longer as governor than anyone else. The first governor of Tennessee, as well as the third governor, William Carroll, went out of office in 1835. They served 12 years, and Dad served 10 years, but Dad was elected when he was 32 years old.
Wow.
Quite remarkable.
Now, do you think your dad, if he were alive today, would be watching the debate tonight? And what would he think?
Well, absolutely, he'd be watching it. I think he'd be horrified at politics today. Dad had a lot of political courage and attacked the issues, but the pettiness, the partisanship was not around as much as it is today, and I really regret that. We need to be concentrating on what's best for America and how we can bring about reform and change and not wallow in the mud on either side.
Right. Well, and I want to talk more about your father throughout the program, but thought we'd touch a bit more on the debate tonight. And you're right on point. I mean, things have changed so much just since you left Congress. And as you make your observations tonight, the candidates will be here. It's the second and final debate. We know what happened last time around and how crazy it got. I mean, just as they host this at Belmont, what are your hopes and what do you think we'll see tonight? And from your perspective, having been around debates in the past, how important do you think this debate is to the candidates?
Well, I'm pleased the White House Commission has weighed in, and because there were a lot of talking over one another, particularly Trump talking over, and that's not helpful. When I listen to a debate, I want to listen to it, and I don't like a lot of interference. Let the candidate say what needs to be said, and then the other candidate can weigh in and say whatever he wants to. But when you talk over one another, then you lose the message, and you don't know what they're saying or how they're saying it, or how we're solving problems. It's just not helpful, and I hope we're going to take the high road tonight, not the low road.
I guess you had participated in debates, have you not?
A lot, yes.
Okay, I'm just curious from your take, and I don't know how things have changed, but I always am fascinated when I hear about how the candidates prepare. And what we've heard over the last couple of days is that Joe Biden has been kind of off the campaign trail to prepare for the debate tonight over the past 2 or 3 days. The president has been out campaigning and may just have spent the last 24 hours preparing. Everyone has their own different style. What do you think about preparation for a debate?
Well, I think it's critically important, but I realize everybody's different, and I think Joe Biden is smart to take off some time and prepare and get your head straight and your message better and all that. But everybody's different, and Trump seems to feel like with the rallies and all that energizes him that much more. So I think it's very personal about what's best for you and your political personal style.
And I'm just curious too, with maybe from your style, when you do sit down and strategize before a debate, I mean, in addition to thinking about what you say and what you want to deliver, do you also kind of stop and talk with your staff, trying to anticipate anything that may come your way? And maybe it comes and maybe it doesn't, so that, you can be prepared for any potential curveball. I mean, how hard is that to do, to prepare for the unexpected?
Well, you have to do that, and I know, for example, Larry Wood's a great debater and all that. Matter of fact, we debated in high school, and we'd go through that exercise together where he would pretend like he's the other candidate and ask me tough questions and respond. And I've done that over the years because I was public service commissioner and ran for other statewide offices as well as U.S. Congressman. So I had a lot of experience, not only in the congressional district, but throughout the state of Tennessee.
Well, what's interesting, too, is just sitting here talking to you, and I've interviewed you and known you for years, and we have a lot of common friends. It's like it's hard for me to imagine you, and I want you to tell us what you're up to these days. I think maybe doing consulting work, but you being back in politics now because you were such a gentleman and such an articulate, not soft-spoken, but just amiable guy. That's the way I've always viewed you, and I just don't know. Would you be able to survive in today's political climate with the way things are?
I think I could, and it would be a different style, and maybe it'd be a little more boring or whatever. I think not, but I would want to attack the issue, not my fellow colleague. I'd like to think I could take the high road, but also you got to defend yourself, and I'm not saying that, and I've done that in the past when people have made attacks on me, and you got to respond to those attacks, those negative responses and all that. But gosh, we, Democrat, Republican, or Independent, we got to solve some problems, and we got a lot of problems with COVID-19 with us, and probably going to be with us next year. People are suffering. People are having a hard time, and it's really impacted their lives, and they want hope and all that. I know Chris Christie, former governor in New Jersey told Trump, get off the petty partisanship and talk about what you're going to do the next 4 years on policy, which he has not done. I think he's going to regret taking the low road rather than the high road.
So it's your belief that, that the style of politics of going to the issues and the content is something that still the American voters would prefer? That's what they want to hear.
Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry, if you can hear me here, I just want to ask you again, we had a break up there, but so it's your belief though, because the climate is so divisive now, you still think though the American public is open to the idea of actually talking about the issues instead of attacking and the negative campaigning?
Yeah, I just, I was brought up a different time. I realize that. And remember now, Nick, you can go back to Andrew Jackson and before. I mean, there've always been tough political fights. But I will say with computers, with television, with the news media, and particularly with social media, where they're not accountable, responsible for anything, say whatever. And I know I've experienced that myself, social media, and they say things as if they're true and they're not true. And people these days having a hard time knowing what to believe and where to get their news. I do encourage people to get their news from many different sources. I've written a book, Presidents, Kings, and Convicts, which has been out several years now, and I talk about that, about where you don't get your news from just one source, get it from multiple sources, and then filter through it and make a determination.
Exactly what I do, and that's fantastic advice. Listen, we're going to go to a break here in a moment. Just before we do, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about your father. But just update folks about what you've been doing of late. Just give us an update right now on what Bob Clement is doing these days.
Well, I'm enjoying my grandchildren. I got 5 of them between the ages of 4 and 9, and boy, they are a lot of fun. I've really had a great time with them, and I take them fishing and all that, and they're pretty good fishermen now. But also, I have my own firm, Clement and Associates. I'm primarily involved with real estate, and have my real estate license with Mossy Oak Properties and Franklin Williamson County, and Jamie Spencer is the broker. And I got a college degree, Nick, in real estate when I was at the University of Tennessee. Never done much with it, but I was on the Tennessee Real Estate Commission, so I really enjoyed that and bring back a lot of old memories from the past, and knowing that was part of my background. And so that's where I'm concentrating mostly today. But I'm not retired. I just feel very strongly about structure in your life, and I think I function much better when I have structure than sitting at home on a couch.
Yeah, don't we all? All right, well, listen, stay put right there. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of our conversation. We'll take a few phone calls maybe for you as well, and we'll talk about 100 years ago this month, your father, a great man in this state, was born, and we'll kind of reminisce a bit about that and some of what he did that still is so much a part of the state today. We'll be back with more with Bob Clement right after this.